The numbers you are looking at right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the ones you use to check your bank balance, set your alarm, read a recipe, those are called Arabic numerals. Except Arabs call them Indian numerals. And here's the wild part. They're both completely right. Today we are tracing the word Arabic itself back through 1,000 years of trade, conquest, and borrowed knowledge. To understand why the word Arabic ended up attached to these numerals, you have to picture the medieval world around the year 1000 CE. Europe is fragmented, largely cut off from the mathematical innovations happening further east. The Islamic Golden Age is in full bloom, with scholars in Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba translating, preserving, and advancing knowledge at a speed Europe simply cannot match. The Arabic language at this moment is the language of science. If you wanted to read the cutting edge of astronomy, medicine, or mathematics, you needed Arabic. Latin scholars knew this, and they were actively working to translate as much Arabic scholarship as they could get their hands on. So, when a new way of writing numbers arrived in European monasteries and universities, it came wrapped in Arabic manuscripts. It smelled, culturally speaking, like Arabia. That context is everything for understanding what happened next. The word Arabic in English traces a clean line back through several languages. The earliest recorded use in English dates to around 1350, and it comes from Old French arabique, which itself was borrowed from Latin Arabicus, meaning simply of or belonging to Arabia. Latin took the concept from Greek, and Greek was working from the Arabic root word Arab, referring to the people of the Arabian Peninsula. Interestingly, the very first use of Arabic in Old English was not about numbers at all. Old English speakers used the form Arabisc, meaning something like Arabish, and the earliest English uses of the fully formed word Arabic referred to gum arabic, a tree resin traded out of North Africa. Numbers came later. The word arrived before the math did. Now, the numerals themselves have a more complicated journey. In the 9th century, the Persian mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, working in Baghdad at the House of Wisdom, wrote a treatise on calculation using a numeral system he had encountered from Indian sources. Al-Khwarizmi is the man whose name eventually gave us the word algorithm. His book on Indian numerals made the system accessible across the Islamic world, and his name became so associated with mathematical method that Latin scholars later corrupted al-Khwarizmi into algorithmus and then algorithm. A few centuries later, in 1202, an Italian merchant's son named Leonardo of Pisa, today called Fibonacci, published a book called Liber Abaci, meaning Book of Calculation. Fibonacci had grown up in North Africa, where his father worked as a customs official, and he had learned the Hindu Arabic numeral system from Arab traders. Liber Abaci introduced this system systematically to European merchants and scholars. Fibonacci was explicit in the text. He called these the 9 Indian figures and described learning them through Arabic sources. So by the time European scholars needed a name for this numeral system, the most recent visible link in the chain was Arabic manuscripts. The Indian origin was known to specialists, but the street-level answer was these came from Arab traders. And so, Arabic numerals is what stuck in the European vernacular, fossilizing one link in a much longer chain. Here's the misconception most people carry, that the numeral system was invented by Arabs. It was not. The numerals 1 through 9 and the revolutionary concept of 0 as a placeholder, developed from the Brahmi script in ancient India, refined over centuries before the Common Era. Arab scholars were honest about this from the beginning. In Arabic, these numerals are called al-hindiyyah, meaning Indian numerals. Arab mathematicians knew they were working with an imported system, and they said so. When al-Khwarizmi wrote about them, he attributed them clearly to Indian sources. The Arabic contribution was massive, but it was one of transmission, translation, and enhancement, not invention. The irony is layered. Europeans named the system after Arabs because Arabs brought it to them. Arabs named the system after Indians because Indians created it. And the Indians, for their part, developed something that neither culture originally called by the name we now use globally. What we call Arabic numerals is really a label for a cultural handoff, not a point of origin. The word Arabic, in the sense of belonging to Arabia, still surfaces constantly in modern English, often in ways people do not consciously register. Arabic coffee, Arabic calligraphy, Arabic grammar, all of these follow the exact same linguistic construction documented back in the 14th century. A place name turned into an adjective through that Latin suffix pattern. In typography, the distinction between Arabic numerals 1, 2, 3, and Roman numerals 9, 2, 3 is a formal technical term used in publishing, legal documents, and academic style guides. Every time a legal contract specifies that numbered clauses use Arabic numerals, that 14th century word is doing real, functional work in a 21st century document. And in linguistics, Arabic has become a shorthand for an entire family of features: the abjad writing system, root and pattern morphology, the particular phonology of Semitic languages. The word has expanded far beyond a simple geographic label into a marker of an entire language family and cultural tradition. The word Arab itself, which sits at the root of all of this, likely comes from a Semitic root meaning west, or possibly desert. Though scholars still debate this, what is not debated is that Arab in Greek sources appears as early as Herodotus in the 5th century BCE, making this one of the older ethnonyms in continuous use in Western writing. Connected to Arabic through Latin and Greek is the word arabesque, which came into English in the 17th century to describe the flowing, intricate geometric patterns associated with Islamic art. Same root, different cultural branch. Then there is gum Arabic, the original English use of the adjective, which survives untouched as a technical term in food science and printing to this day. Al-Khwarizmi's name alone spawned algorithm and indirectly shaped algebra, from al-jabr, the Arabic term in the title of another of his books. So the cultural moment that gave Europe Arabic numerals also gave the English language the words it uses to describe the processes you run on those numerals. The vocabulary and the math arrived together, tangled up in the same manuscripts, the same translation projects, the same merchant routes through the same Mediterranean ports. The word numeral itself comes from Latin numerus, meaning number, which is also the root of numerous, enumerate, and innumerable. Every time you call something innumerable, you are using the same Latin root that gave us the formal name for the counting system that traveled from India, through Baghdad, through Fibonacci's North African education, into a 14th century English vocabulary that already had a perfectly good word, Arabisc, ready and waiting to label anything that smelled like it came from the East. If this kind of layered history interests you, subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. We are looking at a word so common that most people assume it is purely English, no Latin, no Greek, no borrowed meaning whatsoever. They're wrong in the most entertaining possible way.